Here's Johnny.
Let me turn everybody up. There we go. There we go. Yo, live. We up. We Gucci.
Here's Johnny.
Yo, finally, let's go.
Let's go. All right, yo. Hey, what's up? This is the Pt1 Speaks. This is Double A and Johnny 2x4, and we are
Let's
going to
go with
bring you
it.
some exciting information about something called SCPs. It's called Secure. I don't really know. Desmond's gonna tell you, and we're gonna get into it. It's something he just recently told me about, but I've believed existed for a while, so we're gonna get into it and let him understand and tell you what's going on.
Yeah, but yo, you gotta let him know about the warning, my boy.
Okay. So I did forget. You were right. So today, maybe a little later too. We do some that Johnny does some streams too that are a little. What we're doing today, something is it's graphic for some of the things we're going to talk about. If you are not able to understand or don't want to see what happens in the darkness, then please do not continue to listen, and I am not going to be upset. So this is now your warning. If you would like to continue, please continue. If not, bye-bye. Yeah, I'm
Yo, all right, yo, thank you for the awesome introduction, my boy. I appreciate you. But yeah, today's topic of choice is secure, contain, protect, otherwise known as SCPs, and also some conspiracy theories that we want to talk about, wrap your head around. Because there's a lot of things like, I guess you can compare it to like the movie like Men in Black, where there's like, I guess I'll let you talk about that part more. Because you know more about that Area 51 or all that stuff. So let me hand the mic to you real quick for that part. For the Men in Black, because I know you got a lot to talk about that.
Basically, the topics we're going to be discussing are what really goes creak in the night. So, like, you all see the new movie Insidious chapter coming out. Like, so we're kind of talking about, in essence, along paranormal, but not as much paranormal of a ghost. It's more or less an actual being from another dimension or world that we cannot comprehend, or not we, the people who, like, I guess the commoner cannot understand, and excuse the politically incorrect, but like the people who don't want to know, honestly. People who, like, you see movies and it's like, oh, they'll see magic as like an everyday thing. Like, they'll see an unknown object as magic.
Yeah.
Like, understandably, we're going to be talking about things like, yes, aliens or unknown objects that happen to have special powers underneath this earth, this realm, this being of whatever we're in, and however you decide to follow your own truth on that.
Yeah.
But on Earth, they have special powers, just like Superman, just like simple shit they've been showing us through movies, everyday lives.
People don't realize, like, a lot of the stuff you see in these movies, like everyday movies, like actually probably exists. Like, there has to be some account of something to even make this thought even possible, to even get to this point. And people don't seem to realize that, and it's crazy. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Like, I'll give like a quick example of something me and my boy Double A was talking about last night, about an SCP in particular, the one that basically represents like the Iron Giant. That makes sense. And like,
yes.
So,
oh my god,
that really caught me when you said that, because I was like, yo, we seen representation like in like movies like Mask and movies like you know what I mean, just like simple things like that we saw and like just disregarded it. Instead of like, maybe something like that actually exists out there. Maybe there's a concept of that exists, or somewhere that we brought this information from. There has to be something that this information comes from, and people don't, go that deep. Oh yeah, hold on, come at me with it. Come at me with that Simpsons, right? The Simpsons been on it. They've been on that shit.
I don't care how you believe in time travel. Yeah, there's things that don't make sense. Like, that don't make sense in the time. Like, how can something 20 years? So either somebody's just using the Simpsons as the script for the world, or the Simpsons actually just did that shit and nobody knows. So it's just like, nobody's really paying attention to what's going on in anything. So it's just like, all right, whatever. And it's like, they're giving us the information. I said years ago, and anybody who's ever like known
Yeah,
me, I
yeah,
have been this type of person since like they met me, like day one.
yeah. Like
Anyway,
they want, yes.
I said years ago, the shit in movies comes from somewhere. I said the shit in
Me,
movies
I think
exists.
you had one of those conversations like late night when you stayed the night over my house one of the times. Like I think
And
like we
that's
were
back
sitting
in
there watching. I
high
think we watched
school.
ATM, and like
High
we were like,
school is
"Yo," like you know what I mean, like stuff like that. Like even though it wasn't an entity, like we were just talking like, "Yo, something like this, like stuff like this." The thought process, like there's a lot that goes into these things that we don't realize it.
It exists, and people don't understand. And it's like, it's not that they don't understand. And I'm sorry for saying that. It's not that you don't understand. 100%, it's not that you don't understand. It's the fact that nobody really even gets the fact that it's like told to us,
Yeah,
and you just don't want to know. You just basically don't want to know or can't comprehend. Those are the
yeah,
two aspects. And
yeah,
if you're upset about that, it's literally because you can't comprehend.
yeah,
And I'm sorry.
yeah.
And like it's so undermining, and it's like, and nobody gets it. That's the issue.
So I did have a question that I wanted to start off with you real quick. So
Mhm.
since you said you believe, like I know you didn't really get into the SCP stuff, but you said you believed a facility like this exists, like your whole life. You know, you believe something like this in some way, shape, or form exists to keep things, whether they be good or bad,
Uh-huh.
like the reaches
Mhm.
of society. You know what I mean?
I
So
said I said I don't know who I was having a conversation with like a couple years
yeah,
ago, and I said something like, if we why would they tell us Area 51 exists if aliens actually exist? Do you think we understand their like technology, then that means everything you know existed does exist. If
yeah,
aliens exist, what actually exists?
like
Exactly my point.
there's so much like you said, if aliens exist, like you said, there could be test experiments on like failed things like a
But
Bigfoot. It could
why
be
would they tell us where that is? That was my whole point.
yeah,
Like, why would they tell us Area 51 exists if, yes, there's probably stuff there that's declassified and that humans can understand, that
yes,
common people can understand.
yeah.
Keep aliens there if something goes awry. There is not the alien guns there, the alien ships, the
No,
alien, like there's alien bodies, yeah, and maybe remnants of some weapons and
yeah,
shit. No, bro, the actual technology that they deemed as harmful and nobody could understand is not there.
yeah,
Area 51 goes way lower than most people. It's
yeah,
on a
because it doesn't
schematic,
go as high as a grade as people like rate it
and
because
I don't want to
there's something.
keep saying shit that like could potentially be true, and I'm not backing information. So like, it's on a serious note of, there's a bunch of shit people already know and that people already can see, and it's like, when you go into this next level of trying to see if the world is actually bigger than what we're standing on, my, my only question is, why do we still believe the earth is flat?
Ah. Next you about
I
to
can
say the Earth is a cube, my boy.
I can I can understand the whole dome theory
Yeah,
and everything, like why we would live on a plane and everything. I can see why, but to be understandably honest with you, if aliens exist, then every planet in the world looks like Avatar does. The first one, where they're like floating little islands. Everywhere in the world
all
looks like
right.
that.
You just got me on that. That all right. That's all right. Okay, okay. All right. That hit different. That hit different. I didn't even think about that part like that. That hit different. I
So
fuck with
then,
that.
so
I
now
fuck with that heavy.
listen to this theory. Now, in that same experience, there's a bubble to every world, right?
Yes.
That bubble's gotta look like Fishman Island on One Piece, does it not? Or SpongeBob in Sandy's container into her world. Two doors you have to enter through to decompose, get through, and then add into the next world.
Yeah.
So it's either gonna be like a Sandy's house type of door, or
Yeah.
a Fishman world entrance where you're going through a bubble and through a tunnel into the world. Tell me that's if you're believing the Earth's flat, everywhere that aliens exist, that's how it looks. Then I'm not fucking with you. That's how I would understand that. If you
That's how
believe
you.
the Earth is flat, that's how you have to see the rest of the world. Then Pluto looks like that to you. Then every other world looks like that to you.
Yeah, it
That's
could.
what I'm not understanding. But you believe in aliens and the Earth is flat. That's like it's like
yeah, like I said, but you believe in aliens and the earth, but you don't believe in all the other stuff. I get it. So my question to you is: so the stuff in the deep down facilities, much deeper than Area 51. Okay,
okay.
much deeper. So places beyond that with higher clearance, like I guess maximum security clearance, if you can think about that.
Yep.
In those places, whether it be good or, I'll ask you this first: whether there's a lot of good and there's a ton of bad within there. Okay, what I mean? Like you said, it could be paranormal apparitions, it could be paranormal or something possessed items, it could be anything in this world. It could be a place. What I mean? It could be anything that that we have blocked off, or a location that we have blocked off because of such and such reason. You know what I mean?
Yep. 100%.
Do you believe that people like us, I guess, should have access to that type of information in some way, shape, or form? That's my question for you.
Yes and no. I'll tell you this.
And
I believe.
is it
I believe.
two? I got you.
Okay.
It's a two-part
Continue.
question.
Ask the next question.
And if so, do you believe that even if that information, say if all that information was dropped, right? Boom. Do you think people would even be able to comprehend it if that information was dropped the proper way?
So
That's the
we had
question.
similar. So here's the answer. We had a similar conversation a couple days ago. I saw this video. Called it's like Starseed something. My fiance sent it to me.
Yeah.
Mel sent it to me, right? So all of a sudden she's saying, I'm not gonna give you the whole video. I'll give you the part that is relevant. She basically says for the people who are able to break out of the reptilian mindset or the reptilian frequencies, which is your low vibrational frequencies of your mind,
Yeah.
and are actually able to understand, this is how I perceive it, who are either able to understand or are able to actually break out of that, even if they can't yet.
Yeah.
When a point of the rapture or ascension comes, so there will be a point where this knowledge has to be of out there, right? That's how I'm seeing
Of
it,
course,
right?
yeah.
You're like, all this knowledge can't be held back. You can't hold this back from an entire world for this long.
Yes.
And if you do, it becomes a point of they either know about it or they just choose to not know about it. So that's what it becomes. It becomes like I guess almost like a Cowboy Bebop, where everybody knows space travel exists. Everybody knows different demons exist. Different entities exist. You see what I'm saying? Or any other space travel movie, Star Trek. Everybody would. Then that's how we would have to understand the world. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But in this point of when all this knowledge becomes
Public.
apprehendable, the people who can't actually move forward and understand all this will sit in what people call hell. They'll be like stuck. They'll be
So you think
the underground, living in the old time society, like how the Amish are now comparatively to what we're living in now. You get it?
okay, I get you. Totally get you.
So that's how I see it. If the knowledge becomes public, people will either create a society where they're still living in the old ways, and the new society still has to protect that old way of society, but they just don't believe what exists outside of the walls of what they're living in. Or it creates a society where you potentially, or if you believe in a more religion aspect, the earth for restart, the people who can't actually think of a higher level of themselves or actually understand there's a higher frequency of living, then they'll be stuck in the low vibrations. And when there's actually a cleansing, you won't be able to move on to the next level of the world. You get what I'm saying? So
that is deep. Yo, that is deep, bro.
It becomes a level of
Darwinism
in an aspect of, if you really can't comprehend, you're not gonna move on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because each one of that, like you said, you need a certain level of like spiritual understanding to even get to that point. To even because a
And
lot of
it's
this information, like even if you saw like some of this, like I guess this paranormal stuff, like some people will look at it, like you said, like mask. They'll look at it and be like, "Nah, that's magic," or put it off to something like they'll brush it off,
and it
even if they had the information right there of what it was. Like that's because they can't even possibly like try to perceive that. You know what I mean? They're not ready. They're not I guess they're not mentally or spiritually ready to process that information. But like people that try to dive into that, they're like, all right, why is this? Like, or like, oh, that might be such and such. You know what I mean?
exactly.
If you go deeper into that and you actually expand your mind on it, the possibilities like will shock you. You know what I mean? It will fucking shock you when things are actually going on around you. You know what I mean?
And it's not so much as like people. It's not so much as people who don't want to know but can understand it. Like they'll still move on. There's
Yeah,
people who can like who are on another level of spiritualness that can still get out of the low vibrational frequency and not have to like actually just believe in the whole yes, demons go bump in the night type shit.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? It's not just understanding that knowledge though either, and I don't want to like have people thinking like, oh, you have to know about all this shit. No, the only thing you have to know is you just have to understand it exists. That's
yeah,
it. If you can't understand it exists, you don't have to want to know about it. You don't have to want to study it. You don't have to want to go find it. You can live in a world without it if you so please.
yeah,
But you just have to at any point, the people who don't want to do that still know it exists. It's like chasing Bigfoot. Like the people who like understandably and actually understand and get what you're saying will
yeah.
know you're actually chasing Bigfoot or know you're actually been abducted or no. You get what I'm saying? It's
They'll actually pick up on that in a whole different sense of the meaning. You know what I mean? Like you said.
like then they don't want to learn about it because it freaks them out. So they're like,
Yeah.
I
So
know where
it's
my mind
people
can
that have, like you
handle.
said, oh, that is deep. There's people that have that vibe, that have that spiritual connection,
Yeah,
but still will
don't
dismiss the
want
information
to
because they
know.
don't,
Yeah.
because they know how deep it can go. So they try to limit the
And it
information they get.
frightens them.
Yeah,
It frightens them a little bit. So
I
there's
get
people
you.
who limit
Totally.
themselves.
Wow.
So there's
Yo,
people who
Katie.
do that. There's people who do that stuff to them. People who do that to themselves like purposefully, like limit their information type shit. And I just can't like keep it as a point of like hey man, all right, I'll stop talking about it because you don't want to, you know, that's
Yeah,
fine with me. But it's like you already know they exist, but it just freaks you out because you just don't want to have that fear of, they could be here, there, and near. You know what I'm saying? It's
yeah.
like I can understand that. It's just sometimes I like to watch scary movies, you know?
Yeah, totally understandable. You know what I mean? Like you brought me to a whole different like type of understanding from it. Like we're coming from, I guess, two different angles because I know more about like the SCP style. You know more about like obviously like conspiracies and everything like that. But to be able to meet like this, to cross like this, and you see this like the information like how it crosses, and that's crazy. And that's crazy in itself. You know what I'm saying? Um. So I do have questions to finish to that another part to that question, I guess. So the SCPs that are good, okay, I'll give you an example of one. Okay, so there's one that I researched. I don't got the exact number, but he's more of a entity that comes to you in a like a friendly way. Okay, so
Okay.
you usually only see him 20 minutes before you pass away. Like guarantee, you know, he's not the reason.
So, death, a bringer of death, or or death itself.
So that's why I got that. I got you. So he usually sits or comes to see you 20 minutes before you die. He's not the reason for it, but you're going to pass away or perish in that sense. You know what I mean? But his only objective is to make sure people don't go alone. That's literally his only objective. He sits with you and during your final moments, but he only will do that if you are alone. You know what I'm saying? But it's stuff like that that they have locked up. in a certain sense. You know what I mean? Or even if they have a category, maybe more than one or whatever, but like stuff like that, they would lock up. Do you believe stuff like that should be let to roam? That's the question. See, see, because I was like, wait, why?
Okay,
But then I get it. I get why.
I'm going to answer your question with one question only because I can't answer that myself. Would you want to live in the episode of, what was it? American Dad, the golden poop?
When Roger did when they did the conspiracy, not when they basically kept chain killing each other, kind of thing.
Yep, the golden poop.
Yeah. What do you mean? Like, what's phrase the question a little better for me? Let me hear. Keep going. Go a little deeper.
So in that episode, they'll taste the golden poop. Like somebody got the golden poop, and then like their life.
It could consume them.
Yeah,
it consumed them when he had it.
Shit, and they couldn't figure out how to cash it. Couldn't figure out how to do this. Like, oh, and when they got it, it was like, why does it seem so murderous? But the first dude, if you watch the first dude, he did some shit to keep it. So
yeah, he just like he knocked his man, bro. He knocked his man's, bro.
Exactly. So then after that, everybody trying to do it after that, it just became like a murderous intent on top of this.
So you're saying what I have been involved in that? You asking me that?
So like, yeah,
personally.
like, so in the same thing of like, if you understand like, oh, if at some time along the line, if you got that poop and tried to cash it in and felt that murderous intent, it's the same thing.
Then it's gonna happen.
Exactly. Or do you want that person to be sitting with you when you pass? You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying?
Oh, I get it. Like, even if it's something as harmless as that, but that's still something that should be locked up.
Sitting at you with, like, if you're actually alone, does that mean you're going to where you think I'm going? You're going to the place.
It only comes when you're actually all alone.
So does that mean you're not gonna like ascend? That's what I'm saying. You're not gonna reincarnate. You're gonna be stuck. That's what I'm getting at. Like,
I don't know what it is.
Like I said in a couple episodes ago, whatever you give has a take. So whatever he's there for has a reasoning.
That's what I'm saying.
Why you're alone? I would say
it could be spirit. It could, like you said, it could be like you're actually alone. It could be your sense of like. It could be you could be lost in the sense of yourself. You know what I mean? It could be a whole lot of reasons why you're alone in that situation. I guess for whatever sense, it doesn't have to be like a hospital bed, but it only comes to you. That's the example they use. You know, he only comes to you 20 minutes before you pass. You know what I mean? So like moments you could be at home, you could do whatever, but it's like I guess it makes sure.
You're not.
I totally agree. Because honestly, I totally agree with you. There's a give and take. Exactly. So if it's spending these last moments with you, and for whatever sense, are you going to like?
You're gonna reincarnate into the same path you were on before? Is he gonna take something from you?
Yeah, because I was about to say, is he doing this to say, yo, you gotta? I know it's been rough, but you have more to do. Is he actually trying to just give you a sign of your own, that or not? Like, because you never found out.
You gonna die, but you gonna wake back up, like type shit. Like, you see what I'm saying?
Like,
I don't
totally
like. There's so much shit, and like in an entity so powerful as like the SCP of the mask, or the SCP of the Iron Giant, or that statue that moves you not looking at it, and that's so much of it doing that. The power isn't coming from this world, is what I'm getting at. And that's what I said at the warning. Like, this shit it's not coming from within this dimension either. So when it comes into this dimension, just like Superman, it gets a power underneath this sun, this gravity, this whatever, the energy on this earth. Like, no matter what you see, believe, that they're stronger than what you want to believe in. And I have a conspiracy theory on top of this whole thing with the Men in Black and the SCPs.
Mm-hmm.
I 100% think. I swear it was either an anime. It was an anime I've seen of this. It was the church having a Men in Black division.
Yeah.
I 100% agree that exists. The church isn't involved in some of these Men in Black.
You really think that? So I can totally understand that, because there's a lot of like. Before I go off,
Look at Insidious. It's based on true events. That whole house, all those artifacts are on display, bro. Tell me that shit is not wild to you. That shit's for human consumption. Normal eyes can go walk through that shit and see the dolls, see the fucking things that happen, and it's insane. Not like Annabelle existed. I guarantee you, Chucky happened. Paranormal Activity actually was on true events. No matter what anybody wants to exist, it is on.
I totally believe that.
Here's Johnny.